Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Daily Drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today, Carolina football and the NFL, as in Tar Heels currently in the NFL. And I've got some really interesting numbers here for you. And I'm going to bring back a name from the past, not too far into the past, about 6 years ago when his time was up in Chapel Hill. But Larry Fedora did do some positive things, and the program is still feeling that effect with its representation in the NFL. Before I get into that, and you're going to want to stick around for some of these numbers, let me just remind you guys very quickly, for just $8.33 a month, you can be a Tar Heel Insider too. You get access to everything we do. Much of our premium content you can't find anywhere else. Our recruiting content is dynamite. Football stuff, we're really picking that up again. We got Dina King back on staff, so we're really grinding it out on football recruiting. David Sisk is the best in the business on basketball recruiting. If you love Carolina basketball recruiting, you got to be reading David's stuff all the time, plus all of our other insider access to the program insight that we're able to give you, programs, I should say, and phenomenal message boards that you want to hang out with. Passionate Tar Heel fans just like yourself. All right. There are 22 Carolina Tar Heels, former Carolina Tar Heels, currently today on NFL rosters. Pretty good. Not bad. There's, I would say, more than most schools, more than most Power 5 schools or Power 4 schools, however you want to look at it. Pretty good representation. Some guys been around a while. A guy like Mac Hollins, been around for quite a while. You've got N.J. Stewart, been around quite a while. Trubisky's still on a roster. He's been around a while. So there's some guys with some legs in the NFL. There's also some young ones. And what I find very interesting is that there are 6 rookies in the NFL right now that were on the Tar Heels last fall. 2 of them didn't start. Amari Gaynor, he came in from Florida State, didn't start last year, sometimes played 17, 18, 19 snaps in a game, but he made the Las Vegas Raiders. Also, British Brooks, no scholarship offers out of high school, undrafted in the NFL, and he made the Houston Texans roster. Now, it would be 7 if you want to include Storm Duck, but if Amari Gaynor counts at Carolina, Storm Duck counts at Louisville, and he had a good year last year at Louisville. So we're going to go 6 with an asterisk. You can throw in Storm Duck if you want, because he played the majority of his career, obviously, at North Carolina. 6 rookies means that you're looking at NFL guys right now on the roster. There are some guys that maybe haven't been real good, maybe not lived up to expectations, not the recruiting rankings, which is kind of unfair to expect kids to live up to these recruiting rankings that they have nothing to do with themselves. But there are guys on the roster right now that are going to play in the league next year as rookies. And some people 12 months from next year when they make NFL rosters might not think so. Excuse me. I don't think a lot of people saw Amari Gaynor as an NFL player simply because he wasn't playing a whole lot. We try to equate statistics and snaps to whether or not you're going to make a roster. But something defensive line coach Ted Monachino said a couple of days ago when we talked to him at the Keenan Football Center was there are dudes from all over the place in the NFL. They don't care where you came from. They don't care where you were drafted, of course, unless you're a first, second rounder. All they want to know is, can you help the team win? So when we asked him that after Zach Greenberg gave an interview to several of us, and Greenberg transferred in from Muhlenberg College, which is a Division III school. There are D3 guys in the NFL. So there are a lot of Tar Heels on this team that will eventually play in the NFL to some degree. Now, I want to throw some of these other interesting nuggets of information about the Tar Heels and NFL out at you. First of all, 3 walk-ons in the NFL. How many programs have 3 guys that came in as walk-ons that are in the NFL right now? And what's interesting, a couple of them been around a while. They got second, third contracts. Mac Hollins is the first one. Mac Hollins out of Rockville, Maryland, up in the D.C. area, very interesting guy. I remember doing interviews with him, and he would talk about his snakes, and I think he said he had a desire to one day own a pet alligator, something crazy like that. Interesting guy. He's had an interesting career in the NFL. He's certainly a personality that media gravitates to. He's still in the league, and I remember him saying his last year in Carolina in 2016 that he was going to make the NFL because he was great on special teams. He was an incredible special teams player at Carolina, but he was also a guy that could take the top off the defense. So he's still doing both in the NFL. He was a walk-on. Cole Holcomb. I'll never forget Carolina fans laughing when Cole Holcomb started at linebacker. A lot of them were irate. They didn't like him. But I remember Mike Eckler, who was one of the linebacker coaches for Larry Fedora, saying that he had coached 5 linebackers in college and played in the NFL. And he said Cole Holcomb is as good as any of those guys, and said Cole Holcomb will play in the NFL. Well, here he is, 6 year in the league. He's made some cash, and he's had a pretty good career so far. He was a walk-on as well. And then there's British Brooks. So that's 3 walk-ons currently in the NFL from the University of North Carolina. All 3 came in under Larry Fedora. Now, if you remember, Fedora prided himself on those walk-ons, those preferred walk-ons. In fact, I believe for a few years there was a shirt a lot of those guys would wear that said "Walk on You," and they took a lot of pride in that, and they got a lot out of those guys. Jeff Schottmer. If you remember the name Jeff Schottmer, most Carolina fans do, is one of my favorite players I've ever covered. He still does some stuff media related. He had a year with the New Orleans Saints on their practice squad. He was a walk-on. In fact, Schottmer led Carolina in tackles for 3 years, and then the next 3 years after he left, Cole Holcomb did. So for 6 straight years, they had a walk-on leading him in tackles, but one guy is still in the NFL, and the other guy was paid by the New Orleans Saints. So in my book, that makes him an NFL guy. He's not listed officially as an NFL player, but he was paid by the Saints. He got checks from them for a year, so good for him. Now, there's 22 guys currently in the NFL that played at Carolina, or at least that right now that finished their college careers at Carolina. We're not going to include Storm Duck in that. What's interesting is 13 of those guys were recruited to UNC by Larry Fedora. So Larry Fedora's been gone 6 years. And he still has 13 of his Carolina recruits that are in the NFL. I think that's amazing. I think that for the way it ended, and it didn't end pretty, and Larry was quite stubborn as the walls were closing in. He didn't help himself a lot in that last year, and I'm sure he recognizes that. But he also did some pretty good things in this program. Remember, when he came in, the program was under all that NCAA crap. He was told that there wasn't going to be any NCAA stuff, and then there was. That first year, they went 8-4. They tied for the Coastal, and they couldn't go anywhere. That was the Gio Bernard punt return against NC State team, and their season ended at 8-4. He had the 11-3 team in 2015. They actually lost their opener and then won 11 straight games. They're the only UNC team in history to win 11 straight games in the same season. They ended up losing to Clemson in the ACC championship game. They were a recovered onside kick, perhaps away from being in the CFP that year. And then the next year they won 8 games. They kind of collapsed in the end. The Duke game on Thursday night, we've talked a lot about that before. That was sort of the beginning of the end for Larry. The last 2 teams only won 5 games. They had a couple of FCS teams on there, so they really struggled. It didn't end well, and that's why Matt came in. But Larry left them some players, and the effect of Larry Fedora is still at North Carolina because of the representation in the NFL. Very quick numbers on Larry. Was 45-43 overall, 28-28 in the ACC. Like I said, he had 11 wins that one year, had 2 8-win seasons. You know, it's not a spectacular career, but there were some good things. And I think with a lot of people talking about the NFL rosters because the NFL is heading into week number 2 of its regular season, I think it should be noted that 13 of those Tar Heels were recruited as high school kids by Larry Fedora. So he should get some credit for that. And Carolina fans, as they sit down this weekend to watch college football and then the NFL, understand that the effect of Fedora is still in the program. And I will also note, so people don't think this is a pro-Larry, anti-Mac daily drop, because a lot of people love to view things that way. A lot of those Larry guys were coached up by Mac and his staff. They got to the NFL when Mac and his staff came in. So both get a lot of credit for it. I just wanted to isolate Larry for the reasons stated above. The Tar Heels this weekend take on NC Central. Tomorrow's drop will be about three items everyone should keep their eye on because it is a very important game. You only get 12 opportunities. It's a very important game. So make sure you come back tomorrow for that daily drop, which would be about the Central game, which is far more important than a lot of past games against FCS teams. If you're excited about 22 Tar Heels in the NFL, go ahead and click like on this video. If you can't wait for tomorrow's daily drop, go ahead and click like on this video as well. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you haven't, make sure you tell your Carolina friends about us, that we're here, and hit that notification bell so you get updates every time we upload a video, which is often. I'm AJ, and I'll see you tomorrow.